It's Chef CarlaAndrea, and I'll be showing you guys how to make tender, moist, flavorful, sweet cinnamon rolls. This step is fairly quick because we're making the dough. I have all my ingredients, and I'm gonna give you a rundown really quick. I have the stand mixer with the paddle attachment. I have one whole envelope of rapid rise active yeast. I chose to use the rapid rise because I'm very impatient and I wanted to hurry up quickly, so I used the rapid rise. If you have more patience than me, just use the regular active dry yeast. But I love the rapid rise because it's risen in no time. Then I have 1 egg, I have half a cup of sugar. Do you remember my brunch video when I had that vanilla bean pot left over and I said, don't throw it away because I'm gonna make vanilla sugar? Well, I did. Here's the sugar, vanilla. I have half a cup of vanilla sugar. I have 1/3 cup of oil in here, and I have 1/4 cup of buttermilk. Oh, how I love buttermilk. It's tangy, it's good, full of flavor, nice body. Then in here, I have 5 cups of flour. I may not need all 5 cups, that's why I have a measuring cup. Then I have my sifter, I have a bowl, and then off to the side, I have a pot of boiling water because I'm gonna use it to help it proof. So, the first thing you wanna do when you make a dough, you wanna make sure that any and everything you're using inside of here is clean, it's dry, there's no debris, no nothing, because yeast is very sensitive. If it doesn't get to the right temperature, if it gets too hot, then it won't work. The ideal temperature for yeast is 110 degrees, so you want to make sure that you have your water at 110 or close to it. It's like warm. So if it's warm to you, you're good to go. You want to make sure you don't put any salt in with your yeast, no salt whatsoever, because salt kills yeast. So I have in my 1 packet, which is about 2 teaspoons and 1/4 of a teaspoon. I'm going to dump this in here. Make sure I get all that out. Then I'm going to take 1 tablespoon of sugar because sugar and yeast work together. The fat and everything from the sugar, it helps it bloom. So we always like to put that in to make it, you know, start off nicely and give it a little good jig. Then I'm going to take 1/4 cup of water, warm water like I told you. I just get it from the tap as soon as I need it. I make sure it's warm, not hot, because if it goes over 110 degrees, my yeast will die, my dough won't rise, and then I'll be sad. And if it's too cold, it won't bloom. I'm going to throw that in here. I'm going to lift it up real quick, give it a good stir. Give it a nice, good stir. Make sure we get everything mixed together real quick. Oh yeah. Alright, so this is going to sit for exactly 5 to 10 minutes. You know when it's done, when you see that it's frothy, it's bubbly, it looks like you may have poured baking soda inside the mix. That's how you know when your yeast is ready to go. So I'll see you guys back in about 5 to 10 minutes, and we'll start on building this wonderful sweet dough. So it's been about 10 minutes. I've allowed my yeast to bubble up, rise, come together. It's frothy, it's risen. It just looks like a big layer of foam, brown yeasty foam in my bowl. So now that that's done, I'm gonna make like a sponge, like a slurry. That's just incorporating just a little bit of the flour to bring it all to one consistency before I get to dumping in all my flour. It makes it easier for you when you're doing this. So I'm going to take about 1.5 cups and just throw it in there. Remember that you used 1.5 cups, so that way you know how much flour you're using, because you don't want to add too much. So we're just going to make like a quick little sponge. You can do this method when you're making pizza dough, when you're making bread dough like a brioche, when you're making cinnamon rolls. You can pretty much do it with any bread dough, just making a real quick sponge. So, oh, maybe if I kept it attached. Okay. So now it's all sponged together. It looks just like this. This is how it looks. It's sticky still. It's barely together. It's warm because we added in warm water, so our yeast is highly active. The dough is come together barely, not too much, because I don't want to develop all the gluten. Now I'm going to take the 1 egg. I'm going to take the buttermilk and the oil. I had 1/4 cup of buttermilk, and I had 1/3 cup of oil. I'm going to mix this all together. Mixing. Mix it all together. Stir it all around. Okay, now I'm going to take what is this? A 1/2 teaspoon of salt, because every sweet thing needs salt. Any type of dessert, you should always add salt. I'm going to take my sugar. This was a 1/2 cup minus, what is that, 1 tablespoon we used. So I'm gonna stir all this together, stirring it. I found the smallest bowl and the smallest whisk I can physically use right now. And I'm praying that I don't make any type of mess. So now I have this weird looking concoction that I'm gonna throw right into here. Get all this good stuff out. Leave no man behind. Let's get everything into this bowl. Okay, move this stuff out the way. Now I'm going to pull it back up. Let's do a little mix. You don't want to start off too high because it's going to mess up. And not mess up, you're just going to make a big mess all over the place. And then you don't want that. You don't want this concoction all over your body. So we're going to mix it, 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 mix it. Okay. It's nice. It's mixed. Now I'm going to use the dough hook attachment. Now I understand that some people don't have a stand mixer, and it's perfectly okay. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can always use a bowl and you can mix it by hand. You can dump the flour in a little bit. Like, let's say if you have a bowl and you don't have this, I'll say take about maybe 3.5 cups of flour and all your wet ingredients, make a hole around it, dump it in, and just mix it in with your hand like you're doing the pasta method. Then when it's time to knead it, just have a clean floured surface, dump everything out, and knead it for about 5 to 10 minutes. It's a great workout. Get you some nice big muscles, and you'll be ready to go. So now we're gonna put on our dough hook. See if I can do this backwards. Ah, shucks now. Okay, so what do we have in here? We have all our wet ingredients. We have our sponge that we made. So I'm going to pull this up. But before I do that, I want to scrape in my bowl, because I always want to make sure I get everything off the bottom to the top so everything gets well incorporated. Then I'm going to add in my flour little by little. I like cinnamon rolls. Cinnamon rolls are good, especially when they're homemade. Because it makes me, I'm gonna add a 1/2 cup in at a time, because it makes me feel like that it's nutritious. It has some type of vitamins. It has some type of nutritional value to my body because it's homemade. Now, if I would have bought it like at a Cinnabon or a bakery, then I would say, oh, that's fattening. But because I made it and I know everything that's going in here, I've made it up in my mind somehow, some way that this right here is healthy for me. So it's okay. So now that we've got that out the way, we're gonna let the flour mix in. Sometimes I like doing it by hand. Sometimes I like to use the mixer because I get to kind of sit and watch it. But you also want to make sure when you're using the mixer, you want to make sure that you don't mix it too much and that everything gets incorporated, because it can happen to where things don't get incorporated, the yeast doesn't get distributed, and then you just have this weird, funny looking thing when you go to let it rise and you're somewhere confused because you don't know what happened. I hope I'm not spilling this on the floor, because that's another mess. So we did a 1/2 cup. So now we have 1 whole cup in here. Now we know when it's done, when the dough is no longer sticky and it doesn't stick to the bowl, and when you touch it, it's sticky, but it doesn't stick on your fingers. You know that, hey, I've made a decent dough. And now I can let it rise so I can roll it out, stuff it, roll it some more, let it rise, and bake it. But until then, we're gonna watch it. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna scrape down the sides. Now you can do this the night before. Let's say, you know, you want to have some company over, or you want to make brunch, But you know, you got bacon, eggs, you know, you got pancakes to make, or French toast, you know, you got a whole lot of stuff to do, and you're like, dang, I just cannot physically do cinnamon rolls the same time, the same day. So you can make it the night before. Make it, you know, pour you a glass of wine, a little cocktail, get a glass of beer. You can make it the night before. Wrap it up tightly with saran wrap, plastic wrap. Throw it in your refrigerator. Allow the dough to retard, which means rise slowly. And in that way, it develops more flavor. It becomes browner when you go to bake it. It gets like a nice goldeny brown color because the flavors have developed, the yeast has developed slowly, and voila. Nobody knows that you did it the night before and that you may have been flustered or stressed out over it. All they know is that you've made a wonderful cinnamon roll. So we're almost ready. Now, don't stick your fingers in here before it shuts off. I've seen it before, and it's very, 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 very nasty injury. So this is what the dough looks like right now. We're about 50% done. See how it's still sticky and very wet? We're not done yet. So I'm gonna throw this little bit back in here because it doesn't want to be left out. So we're gonna add some more flour. And we're just gonna keep doing it until we get the consistency that we like. So I decided that I want to show you guys how to knead because I thought about it. Not everyone may not know how to knead because, you know, it's a chef thing. It's a baker's thing. So I figured that maybe I should take the time to show you guys how to knead, so that way if everyone or if someone doesn't have a stand mixer, you know that you can still do this recipe with no confusions and you can knead the dough nicely. So this is the dough that I've taken out of my mixer. So I stopped it before it got ready. Just wanted to mix it up for the last bit so you guys can go ahead and see how it's kind of, I guess you can call it tacky. That would be a good word for it. It's not sticky because my hands are clean. So now that we've got that done, I'm just going to take a little floured surface, and I used about 3.5 cups of flour to do this. So now I'm going to use just a little bit of flour just so I can knead it. When I'm kneading it, I want to fold it in half, and then I just turn it. And then I just keep kneading, and I turn it, fold it. And then if it starts to stick on you, you just use a little more flour. You put it down, no big deal. And you just keep kneading and folding. Kneading and folding. You do this for about 10 minutes until the dough is nice, elastic, and smooth. So I'm going to do this for 10 minutes because I had to show you guys how to knead. And then when I come back, I'll show you guys the last step so that way we can allow the dough to rise. So see you guys back. Alright, so I'm back and my dough is done. The reason why we knead is because it helps develop the gluten, which develops the texture in the dough. So some breads you knead for longer than others. I like to knead my cinnamon rolls just until it gets to this consistency where I know that I can allow it to sit and to proof. Whew, I am tired. So I can let it sit and proof and do its thing. So now we got that. I'm going to get me a glass bowl, some oil, and I'm going to put a little oil in here, put a little oil on top, and I'm going to mix it all around. You want to put oil on it because you don't want your bread to develop a crust. Because when it develops a crust, it's no good. The air's got to it. It's not going to cook the same. So you want to just make sure that, you know, your bread is nicely slathered down, slicked, greased, and oiled down. So that's finished. You see, you feel that? It's perfect. Elasticy somewhat. So now I know it's ready to be risen. It's nice, it's together. One uniform texture. So I'm going to wash my hands. Alright, now here comes to the part to where you can either, well, you still have to let it rise. I'm sorry. You still have to let this part rise. This part you cannot skip out on. It has to do the first rise. So that way you can roll it out and make your wonderful cinnamon rolls. I got confused. So I like to get my saran wrap. And I always like to make sure that I don't develop any crust or film on my dough. So I just put it down right inside so that way I can make like a little barrier, a little seal, so that way I don't have to worry about any skin forming on my dough that I work so hard to knead. Now, you don't have to knead it by hand. If you have a stand mixer, you're more than welcome to use it, but it does wear and tear on your motor. So just be mindful of that, because you may not have the KitchenAid with the heavy duty strong motor, and you know, it may burn out, then you'll be sad, and then you'll blame me, and I don't want that on my conscience. I want to sleep in peace. So please, if you can, if you don't mind, do it by hand. So this is done. My little trick to making my own proofer box, since I don't have a state-of-the-art kitchen or a commercial one, I take my oven rack, I throw it in the middle, I put my bread that I want to proof in there. Then I take the other rack, I put it down at the very bottom. I take a pan of boiling water. Here's the boiling water. And I throw it in right underneath. And voila, I have me my own little proofer box. Didn't cost me much. And it's ready to go. I don't know if I'm all winded. I'm out of breath kneading. It's hot in here. It's about 90 degrees outside in California. I apologize. I don't know if I mentioned this. I probably did, but I ramble so much, I don't know. I like to sift all my flour, all my dry ingredients when I'm doing any baked good, when I'm doing pancakes, when I'm doing waffles, when I'm doing cakes, cupcakes, pound cakes, breads. I like to sift. It brings an airier, lighter, fluffier texture naturally. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this proof for about 30 minutes to an hour, because we use the rapid rise, and we'll be back. But if you just use the dry active yeast, you're going to need about an hour to 2 hours. So I'll see you guys back when my bread is ready. Our dough is now proofing. It's almost ready. It looks beautiful. I just peeked in on it. When you're proofing it, try not to peek in it too much. When it gets to like the 35-minute, 40-minute mark, go on and just take a quick little peek, because you know you have some warmth in there, and you don't want that to escape. You don't want it to leave, because you still need it to help the dough double. So now we're going to make our filling, which is always the fun part, the easy part, the messy part. So I'm going to get my ingredients. I need some brown sugar, I need cinnamon, I need some cornstarch, and I need a little bit of butter, which I have on the side already. So I'm going to use 1 1/4 cup of brown sugar. So I got 1/2 cup, I got 1 cup, and I'm gonna eyeball my 1/4 a cup right there. Okay, got that. Put this back here. So I added in about 1/2 tablespoon. So I got 1 tablespoon. I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons in here. Actually, I'll do 2.5. So that's 1. And then I'll do another 1/2. Okay, there we go. It is a cinnamon roll, so it should be cinnamon. Then, as a thickener, because sometimes when you're making a cinnamon roll, it gets a little like wet, gets a little loose. Then you like have like a cinnamon bath instead of like a bake. Funny story, the first time I made cinnamon rolls, I was so proud of myself. We're gonna do 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. I was so like in tune. I had my game face on. I was ready. I was like, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna be victorious. And I did everything right. I took the time to knead the dough, mix the dough correctly, proof the dough correctly. And then when it got to the second rise, the last step, after I filled in I'm gonna use my hands to mix it. After I filled in my cinnamon mixture, why was it so hot where I was making it? Long story short, I used the melted butter, and all the butter, because I used a lot of butter in that recipe, all the butter leaked out and was in the pan, and I had like poached cinnamon rolls because it was just sitting in a bath of butter. All my hard work, all my day's labor, I mean, I was sad. I think, yeah, I was discouraged from doing cinnamon rolls again. But I said I will not lose. I'll be victorious, and I will make dynamite cinnamon rolls. And here we are, and I'm a beast. And you know, sometimes you gotta fall down and get back up. You know, I mean, we all mess up. We all have bad days, off days. But man, that just really killed my spirits. You have no idea. Okay, so I have all this wonderful ooey gooey cinnamon mixture made. Okay, so now it's on to the fun part. Now we are going to roll everything out. I'm going to get a little bit of flour on my surface before I unveil my beautifully risen sweet dough. That's what a cinnamon roll is. It's sweet dough. Now I'm going to reach in here. Oh! And I'm going to get this dough. Do you see this? Do you see how this dough has doubled in size? And all I did was put it in an oven that was off. I threw in a hot pan of water, and it created like this nice warm environment for the yeast to breathe and to develop in. So I'm going to take off my plastic wrap. I don't know if you can see it, but do you see? Oh, she's so pretty. She's beautiful. So I'm going to turn this right out onto a floured surface. Oh yeah. Get this out the way. Now I'm going to take it just a little bit, and I'm going to just beat it down just a little bit. You know, I'm still going to treat it with love because it's bread, it's gluten. I'm not going to abuse it. I'm not going to mistreat it. I'm going to love it. So now that I've done that and I've got it beat down, I'm just going to take it just a little bit, and I'm going to form like a little loaf type of thing with it, because this really is a bread dough too. You can actually use it to bake some nice white enriched bread dough. If you did it just like this, popped it in a bread pan, you know, you're ready to go. Okay, so I have this going. So where's my flour? Just put a little flour on top. This, putting it like in a loaf, is going to help me to be able to roll it out better into a rectangle, because this is what we need to do. Roll it in a rectangle. Now, I'm being gentle, not being too aggressive, because I don't want to beat the dough. I don't want to form too much gluten. I want it to know that I love it, I'm here for it, and I care about it, and that we're all on one page, because I want to eat and enjoy the cinnamon roll. Now, it needs to be a rectangle. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just about, probably say I'm going to get it to about right here in that little area. Take my time with it. It's no rush. You don't want to rush it. You know, take some time. Let the dough relax. This is its time to shine. So I'm going to roll my dough out while I do this. I'll see you guys back in a few minutes. And we are going to slather it with some nice butter and fill it with our cinnamon mixture. So I'll see you guys back in a few minutes. I'm back. I have a beautifully rolled rectangle of sweet dough. I put my proofing water back on the stove because I need to get it ready for the second proof. I have a stick of butter. I'm only actually going to use half of the butter. I want to make sure that I get all the excess flour off. Just go and beat it off. I know you're probably thinking, oh man, it's going to make a mess, but it's okay because it's well worth it. So I'm just going to brush it off. I'm doing this with love, just so you know. Brushing it off. So I'm going to take my half a stick. And on this step, when you're rolling it out, you don't really want to use that much flour. You just want enough flour on it so you can work it, roll it. You know, you just want to make sure that you get the flour on there, and when you're done, make sure you get the excess flour off. You know, it's not rocket science, but sometimes when you're baking, you get caught up and you're not thinking clearly and you're not doing what you should or what you could be doing. So now the softened butter is slathered all over it. Now I'm going to take my wonderfully brown sugar mixture. Just start sprinkling it all over it. It's okay to make a mess. We got to clean up anyway. Countertop's got flour. It's got all types of stuff. Now, you don't really want to use a lot of butter when you're doing this, because I said you'll end up doing like I did and having your stuff poach in butter the first time, and you don't want to do that. Thank God I make all the little mistakes so that way you don't make them. I'm here to help you guys. Alright, so now that's done. We're going to take our clean hands, press it into the dough. Just press it, press it, press it. Press it in. Okay. Okay, press it. Okay, it's in there, nicely pressed. So when you roll this, you want to make sure you roll it tight. You don't want it loose because you want it to stay together. You're kind of like roll and tuck, but tight. Not tight to where you rip it, but just tight enough to where it stays together. So, first part, you're gonna do like a little, I don't know, like a little fold. You're going to do like a little fold first. Then you're going to do the next one. Get your length together. Then you're going to start rolling and tucking. Now the first few rolls is going to be difficult because you got to get it together. Get everything tight. Okay? You want to make sure everything is nice. This is nicely tight. I guess if that's a word or anything. Once you start getting a little more, you want to start tucking your edges. Keep it nice and tight. It's okay, you know, if it's your first time, you know, it may not be as perfect as you want it, but keep doing it. On a Sunday, when you don't have much to do, just keep practicing it. And you'll figure it out. It'll come to you. It'll be natural. And like I said, as you're rolling, make sure you tuck the sides in, because the sides want to be a part of it too. They don't want to be left out. Trust me when I tell you this. So remember, we're rolling, we're tucking. It's tight, real tight, super tight. I can't express the tightness enough. Like I said, you're going to roll and tuck the sides. Once they start getting a little unrolled, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just keep a few of the rules in mind. You know, you can work it out just a little bit as you're doing it. Just, you know, be comfortable, be relaxed, you know, feel it, get in the groove. Tighten it, tuck it. It's really easy. You know, making cinnamon rolls are fun. It's one of the first, you know, breads that I suggest that people do when they're first starting to get into baking, because it's fun. It's nice and fun. So you're going to get these edges. You want to tuck them. You know, just be gentle with the bread and it'll do whatever you want it to do. It's no biggie. You can make the bread do whatever you want. See how I'm tucking it and rolling it? It's no stress. Keeping the dough together, so that way I can make a wonderful cinnamon roll bread. You see how this is coming along so far? Just rolling it, tighten it. If you feel like, oh, I may not be getting it tight enough, just, you know, lightly place your palm on the opposite end of the roll, so that way you can kind of hold it down. You don't want to be aggressive. Be gentle. You know, something you're going to eat, so you want to love it. You want to show all your love when you're doing it. There we go. Look at all this love in here. Oh, yeah. It's full of love. Remember I said tuck it? Make sure you're tucking. It's okay. You know, tuck a little. It's not going to roll out perfectly, but you can help it along. You know, keep it nice and tight. Keep it nice. Keep it right. All right, we're almost there to the finish line. So now you can pull it a little closer to you, so that way you can make sure that you get all this goodness together nicely. Okay, now this is my favorite part, because you gotta seal the ends, seal the edges. Okay. And when you do that, you know, you just press it. Press it together. Press it together. Get about one more nice little roll out. Make sure all my edges are tucked. Do a nice little press. You know, love the bread. Squeeze it together. Oh yeah, this is a nicely made dough. Oh, got a little tear, but it's okay because it's at the end of it. No big deal. Happens to the best of us. Just put it over, just like that. Voila. You don't even see it. Okay, oh, my water's almost ready. So you just want to seal it together. Make sure it's all sealed up. So that way your cinnamon roll doesn't come apart. Now look at this beautifully rolled log that we have. Just, you know, check it out. Make sure you got everything in there tucked and pushed in there. Okay, looking good, looking good. Looks good on this side. Alright, I'm going to see you guys back in a few minutes. I'm going to get this area straightened up so I can show you guys how to cut it. We're all cleaned up. Now it's time to cut our cinnamon rolls. I don't like using a knife when it's time to cut our cinnamon rolls because when you cut them, everything just oozes out, it messes up, falls apart. So I found that using, you know, butcher's twine or using dental floss works just as good. It keeps everything intact. Make sure you don't get flavored dental floss. Use non-flavored, non-scented dental floss. So we're just going to scoop this underneath to about the center, you know, just eyeball it, no stress. Then you're going to just wrap it in half to cut it slowly. There you go. Then we're going to do the other half. And I just do the center of this one. Find the center point again. And I just do the same exact thing to the dough until it cuts. Alright. Then we're going to do the same exact thing. Now I like big cinnamon rolls. How do you like your cinnamon rolls? Do you like small ones? Do you like little ones? How do you like them? I like them big because I'm greedy. So I'm thinking that, I don't know, I think I might keep my cinnamon rolls at this size. So I can get them nice and big. So I can make my cinnamon roll a meal. So I'm going to finish cutting these cinnamon rolls in half. And I'm going to put some butter in the pan. I'm going to let it proof again in the oven with my warm water concoction to make a proofer box. It's going to triple in size this time. So I'll say even though I'm using the rapid yeast, I'm going to give it about an hour. I would say for you, if you just use the active dry yeast, probably an hour and a half. So I'm going to cut these. You don't have to cut them in half. You can do up to about 10 to 12 slices. So you can do it however you want. You want big ones, you want small ones. It just depends on you. Like I said, I'm greedy, so I'm going to do fat ones. So I'll see you guys back in a few minutes. Well, not in a few minutes, in about an hour when our rolls, our dough, our cinnamon rolls are done proofing. What's up? So we have our cinnamon rolls. They're doing their last proof because we're going to bake them. If I haven't told you guys yet, we're going to bake them at 325 for about 25 minutes. I don't like to bake them at 350, 375 because it is a sweet dough. It does have sugar on the inside, so it may burn, brown a little quicker than you want. You can control it a little better. And remember, when you're baking something, check it about halfway through just to see how it's doing. Make sure you rotate your pan because you want to make sure that you have even cooking. You and I, we don't have the top of the line ovens, the convection ovens, so we always have to keep an eye on it just to make sure that everything is running smoothly. But in the meantime, while I wait for my cinnamon rolls to triple in size, I'm going to do the frosting or the glaze, whatever you want to call it. Cream cheese, frosting glaze. I have 1 cup of powdered sugar. Always make sure you sift your powdered sugar like you do your flour. Always, always, always. I have about 1/4 of a stick of butter, and I have 3.5 ounces of cream cheese. I don't know why I've been saying sour cream all night. And I have the juice of 1 lemon. Whenever I use powdered sugar, I'll always like to make sure that I have some acid in there because it becomes too like cakey, powdery, and I don't know, it just gives me a weird taste. So I'm going to dump in my cream cheese. Okay. Then I'm going to dump in my butter. And I'm just gonna let this mix around for a second. You can use your stand mixer. You can use a hand mixer. I want to use my whisk because I'm working on my muscles. So I'm gonna whisk it up just a little bit, get it activating, get it going. Now I'm gonna dump in all this wonderful lemon juice that I did fresh for you guys. Remember, it's nutritious, it's healthy, because it's homemade. Sorry if my bowl is making some noise. Here, let me put this right here. Whenever you're mixing something at home by yourself in a bowl, let me show you a quick trick. There you go. Stays in place, doesn't make noise. Or you can get someone to help you. If they plan on eating it, you can do like I do. You gotta work for this meal. Nothing's for free. So get someone to hold the bowl for you. We used to do this in culinary school, hold the bowl for each other so somebody looked busy at all times. That's what I like. Here you guys go. Some nice frosting. You're gonna smear it all over it when it gets done. But before you do that, you're gonna get some butter, melted butter, smear it, slather it on top, let it sit for 10 minutes, put that on there, and you're good to go. But I'm gonna show you guys, so don't worry about it. I just want to talk about it so we're all aware, we're all open, and we're all together on this process. So I'll see you guys back as soon as my cinnamon rolls triple in size. Cinnamon rolls have tripled in size. They proof for about an hour because I used the rapid rise yeast versus the active dry yeast. The time will double if you use the active dry yeast. I've taken them out so I can show you guys. I'm gonna throw them back in my oven that I preheated to 350. But when I put them in, I'm gonna turn it down to 325. I'm gonna let them bake until they're golden brown and I smell the aroma of freshly baked cinnamon rolls. When they come out, I'm gonna slather them with melted butter. I'm gonna let them cool for 10 minutes. Then I'm gonna put on this wonderful cream cheese frosting that we made, and then you're gonna watch me enjoy them. So I'll see you guys back in a few minutes. Finished our cinnamon rolls. They baked for 25 minutes in the oven at 325. I've already frosted one because I got excited, but I slowed down because I want to make sure that I can share this experience with you guys. So let me move this out the way. Now I've already put my melted butter on top of it. I want to do that as soon as it came out the oven. Now I have my cream cheese frosting that's been finished. So I'm just going to take it and just smear it all over my cinnamon rolls. These look so good. I can't wait to eat the one that I've already prematurely slathered because I was contemplating if I was going to eat it before I finish, but I said no, one must have willpower because I want you guys to see this one-of-a-kind experience that I'm going to be giving you guys when you see me bite into this wonderfully made cinnamon roll. Oh man, I love cinnamon rolls. There's nothing better than freshly baked cinnamon rolls when you smell them first thing in the morning. And then I love it too when you can eat a cinnamon roll that's not dry, that's not overbaked, that has a nice color, a nice taste on them. Oh, this is taking me way too long to do. I'm just ready to dive right in and eat this cinnamon roll. I don't have time to play games. Okay. I think they're, okay, let me just put a little more. I don't want to cheat any of the cinnamon rolls. I have to be fair. Okay, I think they look about right. Okay, I think I can get in here, take a bite. Here's the wonderfully made cinnamon rolls. Now, it's on to my favorite part, the part where I get to dive right in and be thankful that I have the ability to make wonderfully made creations like this. So this cinnamon roll has taken me about I'll say 3.5 hours. So it's a well-deserved bite. Oh, it's tender, still warm. Okay, here it is. This is so good. It's tender. I taste the sour, the cream cheese rather. Not too sweet, but perfect. I'm off the cameraman, so you want something to bite? No? Okay. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time.